Nearly 3 years ago, General Grievous was added to Galaxy of Heroes, but ever since then, he has never lived up to expectations, and because of that, there was a movement all across the community, even over 50 videos on this channel alone advocating for General Grievous. But now is finally the time when things finally change. Now you guys may be asking yourself, with Arena being so tense, with Jedi Knight Revan owning the throne, will Grievous beat Jedi Knight Revan? And to answer that question, I present to you the General Grievous Rework. Ooh, we are in for a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. General Grievous no more will be one of the weakest characters in this game. In fact, he will be one of the inverse of just that. He will probably be one of the most powerful, highest damage dealing characters with a whole crew of droids behind him to lead the onslaught against not just Jedi Knight Revan, but whatever else is out there being thrown at him. And my goodness, I am so happy to be the first to unveil the General Grievous Rework. I spent some time with the developers this weekend talking about and learning about the kit, and thank you to EA Carey for getting these developers together to go and talk to me about this character so we can reveal what he is all about. And guys, without further ado, let's dive into what we are to expect out of General Grievous. Now, to answer that question I posed earlier directly about Jedi Knight Revan, yes, General Grievous will be able to go through a Jedi Knight Revan team fairly easily, it seems. However, this character is going to be quite unique and something that I think will spark a new era for Galaxy of Heroes. As you guys know, Jedi Knight Revan has dominated this game to a high extent for so long, and I think Grievous will be the first to bust through that Revan wall and hopefully lead a future for more diversity in Arena. And I don't think he's gonna be invincible on defense. I still think Jedi Knight Revan owners and some other teams might be able to still beat Grievous, but on paper and some of the gameplay I've seen, it looks like he's gonna plow through almost any meta, and I think his kit's designed so he will have future viability no matter what's thrown at him. Now, in today's video, we're only gonna talk about the General Grievous Rework, but tomorrow, stay tuned, we will talk more about the Droidica as well as the Magna Guard rework, but you will see some gameplay regarding those characters today. Guys, let's get into it. Talk about this basic Furious Assault. What is new with it? First of all, deal physical damage to a target enemy and inflict healing immunity for 2 turns. He used to have healing immunity on his AoE that was 65%. Now it's guaranteed healing immunity that's on the basic for 2 turns, and this attack cannot be evaded or countered just like before. And here's the good stuff right here that translates to huge damage for General Grievous. If the target was already debuffed, deal 30% more damage, and Grievous's attack deal damage based on his max health. And I told you guys this a while ago that the developers teased this, that his damage throughout his whole entire kit is determined on how much max health this character has, and General Grievous has one of the highest max healths in the game, and some of the clips you're seeing is him doing monster damage on his basic, his AoE ability, and even his new ability that he has. He can literally almost annihilate some characters with his kit that he has here. Now we talk about Grievous wounds, and this is where we start seeing how he's so important for the droid faction. Now it has a cooldown of 4 just like before, and this deals physical damage to all enemies based on Grievous's max health once again, and inflict target lock for 2 turns and remove 30% turn meter from them. So he's going to do a mass AoE target lock, and as we know with all these droids with target lock ability, Grievous opens up the doors for all these target lock synergies that come in and just manipulate the other team, take advantage of all those droid unique going on, ranging from the B2, ranging from the B1 battle droid. Now the 30% turn meter removal used to be a part of his special ability Sinister Laugh. Well, they took away Sinister Laugh, but they left the 30% turn meter removal to be in here and not to be a 65% chance, but a 100% chance for turn meter removal. And on top of this, once again, huge damage. I see crazy numbers, 30,000 damage, even more sometimes, and this damage can scale as his max health continues to grow throughout the battle, as we'll see further down the kit. So this right here makes Grievous have one of the deadliest AoE abilities in the game that we see. A lot of control, opens a door for droids, and massive damage on top of that. And here we saw the little teaser a while ago in the trailer with Grievous skittering across the field, coming to his foe and just blowing them away, which is now called Skittering Horror, has a cooldown of 3, and this is a brand new ability for General Grievous. And boy, this is kind of like a mini annihilate ability due to how much damage it does, and if it doesn't kill you off, well, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna first of all gain health steal up for 2 turns before you attack, and then this deals physical damage, but based on Grievous's max health to the target enemy and stuns them for 1 turn. And if the target was already debuffed, they lose 10% of their max health, excluding raid bosses, which can't be resisted. Grievous then in return gains 10% max health for the rest of the encounter, and on top of that, this attack cannot be evaded. So a lot of stuff right here. So Grievous is meant to have high survivability. He already has one of the highest healths in the game, and now he's gonna have a lot of ways to increase his health pool as well as stay alive by regenerating health, whether it's from the B1 battle droid, or in this case, he can do it for himself, doing a huge damage, over 50,000, even more than that, quite often, and he's just going to regain a bunch of health back, sucking the life out of his enemy that he's torturing. And if you happen to survive this, you're getting stunned and you're losing a lot of your max health throughout the battle. And now we have the engine of the separatists as well as the droid faction, and we also see that Grievous will have viability against both light side enemies as well as dark side enemies. And it might seem weird at first, but although Grievous was very skilled against Jedi, he was able to take on other opponents, no matter if they were light or dark. As we saw throughout the Star Wars lore, he didn't just fight Jedi, he fought other types of even dark side factions and people. So to help you understand what I mean, let's look at Daunting Presence. It has a Zeta ability, and what it says is all enemies have minus 40% critical avoidance and minus 50% defense. And whenever a dark side droid ally is resisted, that droid gains 10% potency, which is stacking for the rest of the encounter. And when a target locked enemy is damaged, each droid and each separatist ally gain 2% turn meter, and it's doubled for General Grievous. And when damaged by an attack, dark side enemies lose 5% turn meter, and light side enemies lose 2% potency, which is stacking. Now the Zeta adds for the turn meter gain for Grievous as well as the droid and separatist allies. So here we're seeing that Grievous is not simply contained to just separatist teams, he's also going to help droid teams, and he has this mass negative effect that he applies on every team he's coming against. And you might be noticing so far, there's really no anti-Jedi thing specifically written in his kit, and I think that's intentional, so he's not contained to only fighting one type of faction. Here, they give him abilities that even work against dark side factions as well as other light side factions. So this leader ability is a fairly general one, nothing too specific, that should have some sort of long-term viability in the game, with tenacity being big, as well as turn meter gain being big, turn meter removal being big, a lot of big elements in this kit that should help Grievous preserve some sort of viability beyond just the next few months. And finally, a brand new unique ability. No longer do we have tactical retreat, but we got something very menacing. It's called Metalloid Monstrosity. Also has a Zeta ability. And this right here is one of the weirdest and high risk unique abilities I have ever seen in this game. Come read this with me. At the start of Grievous's turn, all other droid allies take damage equal to 8% of his max health. Ooh. And doubled for light side droids, and he gains 5% max health and 5% potency for each droid ally for the rest of the encounter, and this damage cannot defeat characters, kind of like how Trey's unique operates. At the start of every character's turn, no matter if it's enemy or ally, if Grievous is below 100% health, he will quickly dispel all debuffs on himself, and get this, he will inflict marked on the healthiest droid ally until the end of the turn. And whenever a droid or separatist ally is defeated, Grievous dispels all debuffs on himself, resets all cooldown abilities, and gains 1 bonus turn. My goodness, a lot of stuff to unpack out of this. Now, this is one of the riskiest unique abilities I have really ever seen in this game. Him being on your team is sucking the life out of all the droids that are around him, so in exchange, he could become more powerful, although the rest of his team will be getting weaker throughout the battle the longer he stays around. But that max health loss is not in vain, because if he's a quick character or gaining a lot of bonus turn meter, he's going to take a lot of turns, and in exchange his max health is going to turn into this giant monstrosity, for a lack of a better word, and he's going to keep hitting you harder the more health he has to take away from his droid army that's around him. Now, although they threw away that tactical retreat ability, they still preserved a lot of the best elements out of that whole ability right there, with that being a lot of cleansing going on and him being able to force a taunt of his choosing in a more strategic manner. Before, he would just throw up a random taunt, which can be dispelled or prevented, by the way, with buff immunity or shock, and now it's not just on any random person. He's going to put it on the healthiest droid, and from the gameplay I'm seeing, if all is kind of kept constant, usually the droidica will be the first one to get marked if Grievous falls below 100% health, and that is pretty strategic, because as we're going to see tomorrow, droidica has damage immunity, and if you get stuck behind a marked on droidica, whoo, you're just wasting a bunch of attacks, and with the AI being stupid, they'll waste mark. With Revan on droidica and the whole Jedi crew coming after droidica won't do anything. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is your General Grievous rework. I want to share some final thoughts with you before we take off and prepare to read the kits for Magna Guard and droidica tomorrow. But with the General Grievous rework, it definitely does him justice. He is now a menace on the field. He is a threat. He is a lingering threat on the team, and if you don't take care of him quickly, he's going to quickly pile up his damage and just obliterate your team. No matter what attack he's using, he's going to blow you away with the massive amounts of damage. The developers told me that one of the themes for the separatists is that each unit is a lingering threat. If you leave them alone, if you leave droidica alone, he will do massive damage. If you leave Grievous alone, massive damage right there. Leaving B2 alone, mass buff dispel. Leaving B1 alone, mass health and protection regeneration. Leaving Magna Guard alone, mass cleansing happening super frequently, as well as a taunt. And Grievous, among all these droids, is the core lingering threat. He is a mini raid boss where he's going to quickly charge and become enraged in some aspect and tear your team apart. Is he going to be Jedi Knight Revan unbeatable? I gotta say, by far, no. This is not an unbeatable character, and I think actually they're the weaknesses going right after the B1 battle droid, and you might be able to take apart this team. So this character is not unbeatable by any means, but his kit is so well designed that he can take out pretty much every single meta team and every single team that currently exists in the game at this point, and his kit seems to be very well designed, so him and the droids and maybe even future droids can take on whatever new characters and whatever new metas may surface. This guy might be important to bring back that whole rock, paper, scissors diversity that we missed, because right now Revan owns everything and no one has really the kit to blow Revan out of the water, and Grievous does have the kit to make Revan's defense pretty much insignificant now. Character with a rework that should bust open the doors for a new era in Galaxy of Heroes. So stay tuned for tomorrow so you can fully understand the droidica as well as the Magna Guard rework, because they both play critical components to the lineup. Comment down below on your thoughts on General Grievous and the gameplay you saw so far, and whether you agree with me that Grievous will beat Revan easily, but Grievous will not be an invincible character. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And guys, thank you so much for being a part of the Rework Grievous movement. Without all of us, this would not have happened. So guys, thank you so much. Like the video if you did enjoy, comment down below, and be sure to subscribe for all the fun we're going to have this month with this new beauty. And until the next video,